Hey, this is Joey, and we are at Joshua Miles today, and we are going to learn a little bit about him and some of the really cool work he does. I would normally say great audio work he does, but something that's unique about Josh is that his work is in audio, and that's what he is a professional at. But there are a lot of different things Josh has done through his life, and so today we're going to be focusing on that. But you never know, we may come back and talk about something else. So today we're going to be talking a little bit with Josh, and he's going to show us around his shop a little bit.
Welcome. Nice to see you.
Cool.
Come on in.
All right.
So this is where it all takes place. I do this shop actually doubles as not only my audio design and manufacturing facility, but also this is my art studio, and on the weekends and most evenings I also paint, and I'm a sculptor, and so this space kind of doubles for that. And I'm also a furniture designer, so any given day you'll come in and you'll either see me working on the newest audio project or a piece of furniture. You never know, but you're always welcome to come in and take a look. So
cool. Yeah. So what are you working on down here?
Right now I'm just finishing up this rack for a client that I'm actually building an entire audio system for. And this is the rack that his system will fit on. This is all out of black walnut and weighs almost 500 pounds. And he basically asked me for something that would be completely dead and rock solid. So I built this one for him. I've got a couple of speaker systems that I'm doing upgrades on for previous clients of mine. Oftentimes people buy a speaker system and that's what they get with JMW Acoustics. I can build you a speaker system, and later on as your needs change, I can always modify and upgrade your systems to what I'm doing at the moment. So that's what's going on this router table over here. And what else is going on?
So how do you source the wood? I mean, this is obviously really stunning wood here that you have.
These pieces actually came from a place called Live Edge Austin in Austin, Texas. I went over there a couple of months ago and found some slabs that I liked that would work not only for this rack, but also be enough wood to use for the speaker systems for this client. I source wood from all over the country and really all over the world. One of my main things is to only use woods that are sustainable. I don't believe in going in clear-cutting forests to build a pair of speakers. If it's something that grows naturally and old-growth things, that's what I'm looking for. So a lot of times, a lot of these cuts are everything from pecan, from the Bastrop fires, all the way to mango from the Big Island. I use monkey pot from Oahu, babinga from Africa, you name it. I'll try to seek it out just as long as it's sustainable.
Cool.
That's my main criteria.
And you do all the woodwork yourself, correct?
Absolutely, all of it. Since moving my shop to San Marcos, I have started sourcing out some of the rough milling at a couple different mills between here, Bastrop, San Marcos, or in Austin, and then I bring here and I finish the dimensional cuts for all the stuff that I need in-house.
And when you say rough cuts, you literally mean like rough cuts?
Yeah, I buy a whole log.
Yeah.
So I'll buy a whole log, and then sometimes it can take 2 to 3 years for something to dry and be ready for use in a pair of speakers or a dining room table or audio rack like this. Some things can be kiln dried, but I prefer things that sit and dry naturally over time, depending on the wood. Some things you can have it go a lot quicker. Some, they just take time.
Cool.
So,
no, I mean, that's really great
yeah.
to know. I assume things like that, but to meet someone that takes the time to do that is always really interesting.
Yeah, and I think the end user and the client kind of appreciates it as well, because these are not pieces that you're going to get rid of in a couple of years or when the next new thing comes out. These are heirloom pieces that will be handed down through generations in your family. And that goes for the speaker systems as well, and for the turntables. There's a whole thing about, and I think I mentioned this to you before, about people saving for a very long time for a piano for their family, or a fine instrument, and that instrument is usually kept for generations in the family and handed down. I want my pieces to be sitting next to that piano, something that can be handed down forever, and it's not disposable. Let's put it that way. So we treat them that way.
Well, you want to show us a little bit of your systems and what you've designed and built?
Absolutely. I'm building a system right now for a client, and that's one thing that I do quite a bit, is instead of just building somebody a speaker system or a set of monitors for their mastering studio, I'll actually start from the beginning and design the entire system from the source equipment all the way through the amplifiers to the speaker. And that includes the wiring inside the speakers and everything. And the system that I could show you today is one that I'm building for a client in Taos, New Mexico, that I'm pretty excited about. We're right about at the end of this project. So
cool. All right, let's go check it out. So you have multiple levels here. This is nice.
Yeah, this is my loft. We call it the audio loft.
I can see why.
This is where I voice my speaker systems. When you come in here, you can usually see multiple projects going on. This is a set of Janes that I've been building probably since about 2010, which is soon to be replaced by another speaker system. You can see they have large outboard crossover networks that I built for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here you go. Slide this over so you can take a look at some of what goes on in these.
Wow.
This is a completely customizable system, so if somebody buys one, I actually go to their house and tune the crossover specifically for their space. And so those are those, and then other speakers in progress. This is my voicing or my listening room, and this is a pretty good example of what you'll find anytime you come here, is whatever system I'm currently working on. And yeah, you want to walk through the system?
Sure.
Okay. At the very front end of this, we're using two different sources. One is the Believe High Fidelity music server, which is a fantastic machine, which is being fed into the Aries Seurat Cassandra 2 DAC, which is a ladder DAC, and it's a fantastic piece of equipment, and it kind of changed my whole mind about digital music. So being an analog guy myself. And then for the analog section, we're using one of my Karen 6 SE turntable. This one is in a blue LVL, and I make all of this layers of wood here is from scraps from making speakers and other things, and I laminate them together myself and recycle them and make things like turntables out of them, or audio accessories. So this is basically a recycled turntable. And on that, I am using the Suzaku Red Sparrow top wing cartridge, which is an amazing cartridge that's being run into an Alnick H7000 phono stage, which is all tube. And for the amplification, I'm using Absolare preamplifier. This is one of their latest offerings, which is then being fed into the Absolare integrated amplifier, which is kind of surprising. I'm not using a standard stereo or monoblock amps. I'm actually running this preamplifier into the auxiliary input of an integrated, and they both run on 12 AU7 tubes, and it's pretty remarkable. And the speakers that you're listening to right now, these are the very newest speaker from me. This is the Allison SE. The previous speaker was the Allison AML2, and this is the special edition version, which is kind of a little bit of a throwback to my studio monitor days, when I was specifically only making speakers for mastering studios. And I've taken some of the technology from that, and then 10 years of building the Allison platform to come up with the SE. So this is kind of bridging the gap between pro audio and home audio. I'm pretty proud of it, and this is actually the very first production set sitting right here, so you can't have them, they're already sold.
And so how does one get into this? How did you get into doing hi-fi?
I got into hi-fi at a pretty young age. My dad wasn't really an audiophile, but he had a pretty remarkable system. We had a pretty amazing living room with acoustics that would just blow your mind, and I always loved it, but never really knew what was going on in that room. It was about when I was around 11 years old, I ended up being at a very old friend of the family's home who was a full-blown audiophile in San Antonio. And I always was fascinated with all those big black boxes and what they did and all those flashing VU meters and everything. And it wasn't until one day he said, "Josh, you got to sit down, just close your eyes and listen to this." And about 30 minutes later, my mind had been completely blown, and I knew at that day that this is what I wanted to do. I needed to figure out how they were placing those instruments across a stage in three-dimensional space in a living room and not in a concert hall. And so that's kind of how it really started. And then that developed into me designing and building pro audio equipment, large horns, large stadium line arrays, and that led into building studio monitors because I started mixing and recording my own music. So I would always take my own monitors with me. And eventually a couple of studios in Hawaii got a chance to listen to my monitors, and it just took off from there. They were like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta have these." And so I made a few sets for a couple of them, and then they made them they ordered them for their friends, and then it was just kind of a snowball effect until eventually a few of those clients through word of mouth said, "I'd like a set of these in my home. What can you do to build a set of these monitors in the home?" So I ventured from pro audio into the home audiophile world, and wow, what a difference. That's a whole different audience. And but fortunately, it seems like a lot of the audiophiles are really searching for that sound, and what we few privileged and blessed people get to hear in the mastering studio, you can actually have at home. You just have to find somebody to build it for you, and that's kind of what I'm doing.
Wow. And so like you said, this system here is actually going out to Taos, New Mexico, and it's all specifically made for one client.
One client, yeah.
And so a lot of your work,
from front to back.
yeah, and so a lot of your work is done in that manner. So all many of your clients are
many of my clients want the entire system built around their monitors. But not all of them. A lot of people, you know, they're really set in their ways and they like the system that they have. They just want to get the most out of it. And so they'll seek me out to build a set of speakers for them that will bring the most out of the system that they already have. And that's great too.
And you recently got some really good accolades. You want to mention that? I mean, I'm not making you brag. I'm asking you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I got for the predecessor to this speaker, I got the Golden Ear Award last year in Absolute Sound magazine, and the best speaker under $10,000 from them as well. I got several other pretty decent mentions from shows. It's kind of embarrassing to listen.
Yeah, that's why I asked rather than I know, because I know you wouldn't bring that up. You're a pretty humble person, but I just think it's important for people to know like how serious you are about your craft, and it's nice when you get some recognition for the time you put in.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I try pretty hard, and it's difficult for a small boutique designer to get into this world and into the high-end audio world. We don't take out thousands of dollars in advertising. We don't put out tons of Facebook ads or anything like that. I'm just making my stuff, and it's nice that people are finally starting to recognize it for what it is.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. And what we'll do now is we'll probably play some clips. I'll get some video of it, and I'll also have some photos to share with people as well of your work.
Thank you so much for stopping by.
All right.
Come anytime. Doors open. Porch lights on.